This is the fourth time that Trump has shut down the government.
And anybody that is supporting this administration needs to seek mental help immediately.
What does this mean? The signs are here, people. Like, what? Open your eyes, bro.
You handing out tax breaks left and right. You get a tax break, you get a tax break, and trying to squeeze the middle class.
How do you tell a soldier to come to work if they ain't getting paid?
There's only two groups of people that have to be paid: Congress and the president. Oftentimes, a lot of people think of government shutdowns as Washington, D.C. stopping. But I want you to know that the federal government has employees, bases, locations all across the nation. Not to mention, there are some people that do everyday work that you may not know are federal employees.
There is no plan and no deal to reopen it anytime soon.
Here's the bottom line. There needs to be compromise in order to avert a government shutdown. There is not compromise at this point.
A general rule of thumb is the shorter the government shutdown lasts, the less impact it will have on everyday Americans. And the longer it lasts, the more it will impact you. Of course, it impacts every federal worker immediately. But for everyone else, if this shutdown is just a few days, it shouldn't really disrupt your life. But if it lasts for more than a week, you're going to start to see some problems. All non-essential government workers have been furloughed, and non-essential government agencies and departments have all been closed. According to the White House, that means up to about 750,000 federal employees are going to be off the job. As for federal agencies and departments that are considered essential, they are still open. However, the essential federal workers at those agencies and departments must show up to work, and they will not be paid until the government reopens.
Now, if you are not essential, you do not work. If you are essential, you do work. What I need you to understand is that the essential employees is a fraction, small fraction, consider it a skeleton crew of the entirety of whatever the agency is. So that means that they are going to try to operate the agency understaffed.
Medicare, Medicaid, veterans benefits, military operations, federal law enforcement, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and air traffic control.
That includes your folks in the military and even folks who are collecting people for immigration. You think they're bad now? Imagine how they are when they're not getting a check. All this while people on Capitol Hill still get their paycheck, while workers are either put on leave without pay or told to come in without pay. It's just ridiculous.
Service members will not be getting paid until this issue is resolved. How do you tell a soldier to come to work if they ain't getting paid? How do you motivate a soldier? They got bigger shit to worry about. They got to figure out their bills. How you supposed to handle that and maneuver that?
While there's a government shutdown, they should have something in place for people that still have to go to work. In other words, y'all should be covering the gas. Y'all should be covering breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because if they still have to pay $20 or better to get back and forth to work, but they can't get paid until after everything is done, now let's be mindful. The Senate and House, those people, they still getting paid. Those people are still getting paid.
As far as federal workers and active duty employees, no money. Right. They don't get paid. All right.
And I, for one, think this is absolutely insane, bro. Like, people can barely make it to work on a regular paycheck. What makes you think that in this economy, in this fucking high-priced economy this year, people can survive on no money?
I ain't blame these people of being upset on the job when they got to go to work and don't know when they're going to get paid.
And the very interesting part is that underneath the federal shutdown, there's only two groups of people that have to be paid: Congress and the president. And this is my problem.
Rest assured that Donald Trump and members of Congress, they will still receive their paychecks because their pay is constitutionally protected.
President Donald Trump will receive his federal salary, $400,000 a year, although he does donate it every quarter. Members of Congress will be getting paid as well, Republicans and Democrats alike. Some members of Congress say they're not going to accept a paycheck. Others say that they have to survive.
The government is officially shut down, but what's not shut down are airports like LAX. Even though it's packed and there's tons of people who are flying, TSA agents have to show up to work today, and they're not getting paid. And that's the same case for air traffic controllers as well. More than 13,000 of them nationwide who have to come to work today, and they're not getting paid either.
Now, what happened last time was federal workers at TSA, for example, put up with the showing up to work without a paycheck for the first few days and weeks. But by the end, they were like, if you're not going to pay me, I'm just not going to show up anymore. So they started to call in sick to work, which trickled down to air travelers who were facing huge lines at the security checkpoints because lots of the TSA officers just called out sick.
It's very rude not to announce something, say something.
I don't know if you remember what was going on at the beginning of this year, but planes look like birds falling out of the sky. So we also have a shortage of air traffic controllers. Like that was a whole conversation. So we really don't need this right now. We also don't need them to call out.
Just went through airport security, and TSA was not happy because Trump has suspended their paychecks with his government shutdown. The air traffic controllers that I am personally depending on to make sure the plane lands safely, they're also being forced to work without pay.
I don't like the fact that air traffic control got to work for free, because that means when I'm up in the plane, they might not give too much of a damn if I'm coming down safely or not.
You know how it goes when it comes to TSA, right? Imagine them not getting paid while they're doing their job. Think of the morale people will have when they still have to come into work without getting paid.
Rent, mortgage, bills, getting food on the table. You're dealing with high-stress jobs like TSA, like air traffic control, already stressful enough. You add, when am I getting my next paycheck? That's a whole different story.
Can you get your passport renewed? What about those FBI background checks? Apostle documents? It's all getting delayed. The facts is that everything's going to be delayed now. Now, I can't prove they're doing it on purpose. Are they really trying to keep people from leaving the U.S.? But I do know when systems break, ordinary people get stuck.
Another thing that you should possibly consider is building more time for your passport renewals. That's if you're going to be traveling anytime soon. Specifically, between the end of the year, because there are X amount of passport renewals that they typically do each day. So each day, let's just say 10,000 applications, if that is their average for completing, won't be done that day. That means that it's going to be backlogged, essentially.
So don't panic, but do expect delays. And maybe this isn't some master plan. It's not intentional at all. Maybe it's just flat out dysfunction. Would that shock you? This wouldn't be the first time the government shut down.
So who's responsible for a government shutdown? Well, that depends on who you ask. As usual, Democrats are blaming Republicans and Republicans are blaming Democrats.
Why the two sides couldn't come together and why they sat in the Capitol for hours and still got nowhere.
We are here because a lot of people did a whole lot of nothing, particularly the people who are dangling Medicare and affordable health care over our heads and pushing to see those cuts while wanting to have pay increases for the people in Congress.
And I had questions, and I wanted to know who's benefiting from this, because I know that it's never left versus right. It's always up versus down.
And I need you to use deductive reasoning and critical thinking to be able to see for yourself right from wrong. This is not about left or right or even in the middle. This is about right and wrong.
You're signing up to fight for your country. You're signing up to defend for your country. I know people who are getting deployed for this country, and they're not coming to an agreement on a bill because they don't want to fucking extend Obamacare.
Well, hey, would you look at that? We got ourselves a government shutdown. Or as the White House puts it, the Democrat shutdown. It's the Democrats' fault that the government is shut down. But is it?
Democrats refuse to sign a budget bill that will cause us to lose a ton of health care. They're not asking for more. They're just saying to the Republicans, hey, can we keep what we have? And if we lose it, a lot of people are going to pay double for their health care. And the Republicans refused to negotiate, so government got shut down.
Democrats said, no, if we're going to extend funding, we need to include things like health care subsidies, undue cuts to social programs that everyday people rely on. So if we can't come to a decision, we're going to be here all night. What's the tea?
With the Democrats, because this is a leadership issue, right? You know the implications of a government shutdown. Back in March, we almost had a government shutdown. Senate Minority Leader came out and said the reason why we're going to go ahead and acquiesce is because, one, a government shutdown is not helpful for the economy, where hundreds of thousands of people just literally got laid off and are still looking for jobs. Thing number two is that underneath the government shutdown, guess who has more power? I'll spare you. The president. Yeah.
He also said he's going to use the shutdown to cut programs that the Democrats like. Now, I'm not sure exactly what he means by that, but I've never heard a president say anything like that, nor have we seen a president use a shutdown to just slash the workforce.
So if we're going to push back against the tide of fascism in this country, we need two things to happen. One, the Democrats need to shut down the government, right? They need to not allow a budget to pass in Congress unless we get what we want.
Right? The trade-off is always, how can we make Black people's lives worse? That's always the trade-off with the GOP. And the Democrats are always willing to sell us out in order to have some modicum of electability.
If I was Democrats, I would be showing two pictures nonstop. I'd be spamming this picture and this picture around the clock. If you take a few seconds to zoom in on every face in this picture, you'll get a different reaction and a better understanding of what this administration is doing to our military. So Pete and them done brought all the high-ranking military officials into one place just to get this reaction. This meeting should have been an email. He talking about fat generals and PT standards.
Republicans who have both a House majority and a Senate majority proposed an extension bill that Democrats say harms the American people. Namely, Democrats are calling out cuts to Medicare that provide subsidies. It basically means that the government pays for a portion of your health care to make it cheaper. The funding bill that the Republican Party proposed does not include the continuation of these subsidies, which Democrats are saying can cause millions to lose access to health care and see a rise in their health care prices. Democrats are also upset because they say that Republicans won't negotiate with them. But the thing is, even though the Republicans have a Senate majority and a House majority, they would still need 5 Democrats to vote alongside to get the bill passed. That didn't happen, and now the government shut down.
Also, blaming Democrats for a shutdown when you control the House, the Senate, and the White House only proves you can't govern.
But because the White House, Senate, and House of Representatives are all controlled by the Republicans, the ball's kind of in their court to figure this out. However, the Senate has special rules requiring 60 votes in order to pass the spending bill, meaning that the Republicans are gonna have to work with the Democrats to get this done.
This is happening while Republicans are ducking accountability for a government shutdown. Look at this picture. Every single Democrat is here. Where are the Republicans at?
On top of the whitehouse.gov website right now, you can see a banner that says Democrat shutdown is imminent. It's not just the whitehouse.gov website. The HUD.gov website also has a big alert when you get on it that says the radical left in Congress shut down the government. HUD will use available resources to help Americans in need.
What reason do you have to put this on a website other than the fact that you all have absolutely lost your minds? What reason would this be on the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development page? This is absolutely ridiculous.
Somehow they think that if they can bombard you with false information that you're going to fucking believe what they're selling.
We're going to hear this lie that the Democrats want to give health care to the illegals. And I hate to tell you, but undocumented people can't get health care. You're literally just being lied to.
Oh, the government is about to shut down because Democrats want fund health care for illegals. First of all, people who are undocumented don't qualify for the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, or really any government taxpayer funded health care. But what Democrats are advocating right now is for the health premiums not to double for 22 million people, because that's what could happen if the Affordable Care Act subsidies lapse.
Y'all fall for it every single time. Ain't nothing in the Democrats' proposals talking about giving health care to illegal immigrants. You just dumb and gullible. That's all you is.
Understand that when you get information, it is up to you to take the meat and throw out the bones or throw the whole thing out. That's it. And if this is something that makes you uncomfortable or makes you nervous, scroll on.
This is on the HUD.gov's page. This is the first thing that pops up when you go to HUD.gov.
The radical left are going to shut down the government and inflict massive pain on the American people unless they get their $1 trillion wish list. Just lies and ridiculousness early in the morning. Do you see what they are pushing? Do you see what is happening here in our country? This is ridiculous.
It's always the same lie. Anybody that can read above a 6th grade reading level would know they be lying. Another sermon, another day. It's always illegals this, brownies that.
Unfortunately, too many elected officials are afraid to say that thing, that we work in an anti-Black enterprise that thrives off of us voting to destroy Black communities, Black lives, Black livelihoods, and, as I said, primarily, and then secondarily, all of these other folks.
Republicans said, we're not making any changes. We're just going to copy and paste last year's budget numbers. No new spending. What you see is what you get.
Well, it's because the Republicans are saying, well, you know, the tyrant in office is telling his little minions, listen, we're going to cut funding to the Affordable Care Act. Democrats are like, no, healthcare is very important.
Without those tax credits, millions of Americans are going to see their health insurance premiums go up a lot next year, in some cases doubling or tripling. Expect to be paying a lot more. Many people are going to be paying hundreds of dollars a month more, which is, I guess, what Republicans want.
In the state of the economy right now, how many people probably could afford for one of their bills to double? For an expense to double? You know what's going to happen if people healthcare premiums double? People are going to lose coverage. The people are not going to be able to go to the doctor. So
while they have healthcare, the government, while we're paying for their healthcare, they do not care that we have to pay high premiums. And the Democrats are saying, no, this is not fair.
You handing out tax breaks left and right. You get a tax break, you get a tax break, you get a tax break, and trying to squeeze the middle class as if there was any money there to begin with. That's why they call it the middle class. It's only some there, it ain't a lot.
They're literally in charge of everything. And the government shut down. So, first of all, fix that for you. And also, take the whole, we need those Epstein files. Yeah, this has become this year's, so anyway, here's Wonderwall.
This isn't about headlines. It's about families wondering how they'll pay rent or buy groceries. Workers shouldn't have to bear the cost of a political standstill. They deserve our solidarity and a government that values their sacrifice.
the government being shut down is the exact reason why I live below my means, but not beneath my joy. And government shutdowns aren't new. So in the past, we've had government shutdowns. I mean, until they make decisions and everybody comes to an agreement, the government will be shut down.
Bro, we're working for free under Donald Trump of all people.
So put yourself in the shoes of these essential government workers. What if your employer said, yeah, I need you to come to work, but I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to give you a paycheck, but you still need to do your job. What happens to your bills? Do you think your landlord would just waive your rent for that month? What about your electric bill? How about your cell phone bill? See, it's a problem.
Because whether you believe it or not, what is happening is not only happening to a few people, it's happening to everybody.
I think y'all need to give out gas card, food card, everything else so these people could be able to maintain and get back and forth to their job that they're not going to get paid for.
So the government shut down. I blame you, motherfuckers, because I voted for him. And of course, I have to still be here at work. What a life that we live in, am I right?
Remember I told you I got laid off in November 2024. It took me until May 2025 to find a job. It took me to mid-July 2025 to start the job. And now it is September 30th, 2025, the day before the fiscal year closes and ends, and the government may shut down. And I have found out that I probably won't have a job or getting paid at least until the government opens back up. So not only did I have to deplete all of my savings to survive for the continuous months that they did not want to hire Black women or fund contracting, I finally got a job, finally almost got back financially stable. Now.
So you mean to tell me I done went and survived the fucking rapture for y'all to shut down the government? Not a portion, not a part, The whole fucking thing. Mind you, on top of that, I done already joined this motherfucker. I protect and serve the country every day, and it ain't protecting nor serving me. I don't know what the fuck is going on, and I don't even know what the hell we're arguing about. But one thing I need to agree on is I need my bread, and I need it now. And if we gonna go and shut this bitch down, I got a couple questions I need answers.
Hold on. They trying to do this around tax coming up.
So, do we pay our fucking bills tomorrow? Because we ain't got a government. And is the FDIC still in place? Because, bitch, I need all my coins, and I need all my coins today. And if not, I need to switch that direct deposit to check. Because the FDIC was put in place so that when you put your money in a bank account, it stays in a bank account.
And by the way, yes, you are still required to pay your student loans back during the government shutdown.
We're finna have to work and not get paid until the lift is up, the band is up. What? Baby, send me the sugar daddies.
But these people that got rent and mortgage, suppose they was already late. You know how you be late, you can't go to school, and they send you like an absentee letter or, you know, your excuse letter. Y'all need to have a letter so these people could turn in to the landlord, to their mortgage company, that they can't be affected during this time.
If I'm not getting paid, am I supposed to pay rent? Because how the fuck that work? There gotta be some type of loophole to where I'm staying for free. Because how the fuck I'm gonna pay with no money?
And no, I don't work for the government, so this doesn't impact me directly as far as a paycheck goes. But it doesn't negate the point that if you live a lifestyle where you stay in control of your spending, times like this won't worry you so much. We can control our spending and saving. We cannot control what anybody else does around us.
And another thing they're saying is that the people who did work in the federal government will be put into a classification of non-essential or essential. If they were categorized as essential, they would have to go to work and basically work for free until this whole thing is, like, I guess, situated, and then they'll get the backhand payment of what they were supposed to make, which is fucking crazy.
And you know what pisses me off the most? The government be acting broker than our mamas after Christmas break, but always got their fucking hand out looking for something. They be handing out the biggest tax cuts, and then we'll turn around and tell the average American citizen that they broke as shit. Oh, we got to shut down. You better go call Elon and them. You better go call Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry. Get them all of that. Call them all.
I have never been so grown to work and not get paid. This gotta be the groundest I ever been. And I really don't want to be this ground.
Child, I woke up and the government was shut down. I am a federal employee, honey. I had to, at midnight, I decided I could not go to work today. I had to take off of work. I could not do it. Mental health. The mental health comes first.
And anybody that is supporting this administration needs to seek mental help immediately. You all cannot stand behind this. This is utterly ridiculous.
And I can say with some certainty that if you support the Republican Party through all this, you are either really racist, really dumb, or really rich. And I know most of y'all ain't got no money. I'm going to take that back.
The worst case scenario, it's going to last for like a month. That's the worst case scenario. And what's the implications of the worst case scenario? I mean, it lasts for a month. A lot of people are going to miss their paychecks. You're going to get disruptions in government services like the FAA, social assistance programs. I think court funding is also going to lapse. That's the worst case. The best case scenario really is like it's a week.
Now, for the record, the last government shutdown we had was in 2018 into 2019 during the first Trump administration. That was the longest shutdown we've seen in like 40 years, and it lasted for 35 days.
And guess what? The last time we were here was 2018. Who was president then? Yeah, we were shut down for 35 days. 35 days without people getting their paychecks. 35 days where people were missing rent, had to go to the food bank. And here we are again.
Like the last time this shit happened under Trump, federal workers had to call in sick, couldn't make it to work because they couldn't afford childcare. They couldn't afford gas to make it to work, bro. Gas, man. Bro, today you have to pay at least $50 fucking to fill up half your tank. So what do you think's gonna happen?
This is the fourth time that Trump has shut down the government. His last shutdown was the longest in U.S. history and cost the U.S. economy an estimated $11 billion.
Well, this guy once said, a shutdown falls on the president's lack of leadership. I mean, problems start from the top, and they have to get solved from the top. A shutdown means the president is weak. He said that in 2013. I think I agree.
Important thing I want to point out, which makes this shutdown completely different than any other shutdown we've ever seen, is President Trump and his stance on all of this. Usually during a shutdown, the president wants to get federal workers paid and off the furlough as soon as possible, so there's minimal disruption to those workers' lives and the lives of the American people who rely on those government workers and agencies. But President Trump thinks about this differently. He just said yesterday he is going to use this shutdown as an opportunity to further his mission to just slash the federal workforce. He said he wants to cut vast numbers of people. So instead of furloughs, these federal workers may actually get layoff notices, or they may actually be fired.
But not only that, you also have the White House that threatened to be able to have mass layoffs for federal employees if there was a shutdown. So also be on the lookout for that. Imagine you're just an employee, they end up shutting down, and now the president, to try to strong arm somebody, uses your job as a bargaining chip. Crazy.
Speaking of, what does the leader of our nation have to say about this? Oh yeah, he said that the good outcome from this is that people are going to get laid off, especially the people they wanted out of the job anyway. And according to what we've seen so far, we know the demographic of people who they've been trying to shut out. But hey, they're headed in that direction already, because recently the biggest exodus from the government happened when it comes to government employees. 10,000 government employees resigned. 10,000. They were offered severance packages from the government.
You have the Congress now considering legislation that will enable for Marco or Rubio to be able to take our passports if we exercise our Second Amendment. The quote-unquote party of law and order only believes in law and order when it benefits their political ideology, when it enables for them to extract more labor and resources from our communities while at the same time over-policing us and telling us that we can't actually exercise our constitutional rights.
So let's look at it. My first question is, who's still funded? Congress is funded, Senate's funded, all of that stuff. Also, Department of Homeland Security saying ICE is still funded. 93% of its employees are shielded from furlough. So that means even if for some reason funding is pulled from ICE, they're still going to be working and they would receive back pay. But the courts are shut down. So ICE is still operating, but the courts aren't. So more backlog, more people being held in a privatized system where we have a contract.
Guess what's going to be functioning just fine? ICE. You see, Martin Luther King said budgets are moral commitments, right? And this country is saying that we are more committed to removing undocumented immigrants, right, than making the lives of every American safer and better. Just think about that.
You know who will receive pay? ICE. ICE was funded in a different budget bill earlier this year, if you recall.
One of the things that I'm learning in all of this is that critical thinking is the one thing that they don't want any of us to be able to do for ourselves. They want to be able to provide us with the narrative. And that's not what we should be doing. They want to change the narrative to what makes them look like they are doing this in your best interest. And I need you to pay attention to the narratives.
What does this mean? The signs are here, people. Like, what? Open your eyes, bro. This shit really pisses me off. Like, why are we sitting here debating this? Trump is a terrible fucking president.
I mean, a government shutdown is a serious thing. And how serious was Donald Trump being when he had Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries come into the Oval Office to talk about it? And he put out Trump 2028 hats. Like a fucking child. What are they there for? They're there to try and make sure that America keeps running, and you're playing fucking games with hats?
That it's going to be like the middle ground. It's not going to be short. It's not going to be extended long, because there's also credit downgrade. We might get downgraded again, so you don't want that for the country's, credit rating, right?
I heard Ta-Nehisi Coates say that, this is the best group of white people we have ever had as a nation. The most woke, the most aware, the most educated. This is the best. And this is what it's produced. Huh?
I just had a conversation with someone who said, I don't want to know. I don't care anything about that. I just want to have a good time. I want you to understand that there will always be people like that, and there will always be people like me who are going to give a damn.
And we as average citizens need a general strike. It is not only necessary, it is required if we are going to have any semblance of freedom moving forward.
It's not red versus blue. The only people who benefit from this are corporations. We have to have something that actually works for the people. That's what I want to see. I want to see people fighting for something that works for us.
Violence, if we are not ready to respond in kind, then what we need to start doing is stop spending our money. We need to stop spending our money, stop going to work. And that will only be effective if everyone does that. Because it's starting to feel like the only thing that these people understand is money. And we need to stop giving them access to our money and access to our labor.
But when I hear people say, I don't care, I just want to have a good time, I want to have fun, I want to do this, I want to do that, that's okay. But take your rose-colored glasses off just for a little while so that you can ultimately see what is happening around you.
We have to stop pretending like what we're experiencing is normal. It's a very deliberate attack on our mental and physical well-being. They're trying to get us used to the presence of police, to being surveillanced. They're trying to get us used to the president being able to take away our rights at a whim's notice.
And until we call a new constitutional convention, until we decide to redo all of this, we're going to be in this trap consistently and consistently and consistently while the rest of the world, while peoples around the world, while third world people, while those at the bottom of the total, while the last become first elsewhere. In the United States, we will continue to believe that we are the best while being the absolute worst.
This shutdown isn't just politics, it's people's lives. Workers are going without pay, families are being stretched thin, and communities are carrying a burden that they didn't create. They deserve, and we all deserve, stability, respect, and leaders who put people first. It's just the beginning and hopefully won't last much longer, but how do you feel about what's going on? Let me know in the comments.